Here he is, live somewhere down in Florida, Randy Fine. Randy, good morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. It's always great to talk to you. Who was this dickhead from TMZ that was following you around yesterday, and why did you even talk to that guy?
He's not a bad guy. I mean, he's got a job to do. And it's, by the way, that's the culture of the Capitol. We have hundreds of journalists who sort of hover around us. And when we're walking to and from votes, as I was yesterday, there's only couple ways to get from my office to the Capitol. One of them is through that tunnel, and he decided he wanted to interview me. So, it's fine, and that's part of the process. I don't think he appreciated the interview. Getting schooled and embarrassed is not very fun, but you know what? That's part of the process, and I don't mind it.
And that's exactly what you did. You embarrassed him, you schooled him, because he came with an agenda. Clearly, he's a Mamdani fan. He doesn't like the fact that you call Mamdani a Muslim terrorist, which, as you know, I've been doing since day one, to the point where at one point people in this city called me by the dozens, Randy, and said you should apologize. And I did. But I revoked that apology, as you know, in Jerusalem about a month ago. And now I can't say enough bad things about this lowlife. But he was upset that you called Mamdani a Muslim terrorist. How do you feel?
Because they want to define the terms of debate. I do this for a reason. For 20 or 30 years, I've had to hear this term white supremacy over and over and over again. White supremacy. It's a supremacy that white people are better than others. And when you push back, they'll say, well, we're not saying all white people are white supremacists or Christian nationalism. I'm not saying all Christians believe in a nationalist world. Well, I'm using that same logic. He is a terrorist who acts in the world because of his faith. It makes him a Muslim terrorist. And what's extraordinary is the Muslim Brotherhood, which is a terrorist organization, Islamic Jihad, which is a terrorist organization, they don't mind putting it in front of their names. But when I want to do it, they lose their minds. The left believes that they get to speak in a way that conservatives don't. I reject it, and I'm going to say the truth. The guy is a Muslim terrorist, and we need to be comfortable saying it.
Oh, I am. I love it. But when I initially called them a terrorist, somebody came to me. I'm not going to tell you who they were. And they said, you're leaving yourself open for a lawsuit. I go, why is that? Well, he's never been strapped to a bomb vest. He's never been found with a gun or a bomb in his car. I said, so what? You don't think verbal terrorism is a thing? You don't think what he says out there, when he yesterday said to New Yorkers, when Bibi gets here, you need to riot. That's terrorism, is it not?
But I think it's more than that. As I said to the guy yesterday, the head of Hamas, who's sitting in a five-star hotel in Qatar or in Turkey, he's not blowing anything up, but he's the head of Hamas. Is he a terrorist? Of course he is. And so when Zohran Mamdani said that it was a war crime for Israel to kill members of Hamas, the numbers that he used in his speech weren't for so-called civilians or children. He included a number that everyone agrees, everyone, included soldiers for Hamas.
Wow.
And he said killing those soldiers was a war crime. Saying killing terrorists is a war crime. He is defending terrorists. That makes you a terrorist. He is a Muslim terrorist, and we need to say it.
100%. And, this other lie that he continues to throw out there is Israelis are committing genocide. That's a lie. And they're killing people in hospitals, in schools. You know what? That's not a lie. But why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? Because Hamas, the terrorists that Mamdani refuses to go out and bash, they set up their operations in Israeli hospitals, in schools, in all these places in Gaza. So when Israel goes in to kill these bastards, and we got to kill every one of them, yes, unfortunately, there are innocent civilians, even kids, that may end up dead. But Israel are looking to kill them. That's where Hamas sets up their operations.
Yeah, look, I mean, the whole thing was ridiculous. Look, Zohran Mamdani is on video calling it a genocide days after October 7th, before Israel had even responded. The fact of the matter is, if you set up your terrorist infrastructure in a hospital, it's going to get blown up, and the fault of that is yours. If you set up your terrorist infrastructure in a school or in a home, or you put rockets there, it's a military target, and the people who die, the responsibility is the terrorists. The biggest lie, though, of all, is that Zohran Mamdani shouldn't even be an American. I mean, the guy lied to become a citizen, and frankly, he should be denaturalized and deported. He hates America. He's destroying your city. He should be fixing it and not talking about foreign policy in other sides of the world. But he's doing this because he wants to make New York unsafe for Jews. That is what this is all about. He is a terrorist, and he needs to be treated like one.
Well, he needs to be treated like one from the man I just played on this show, who I shared a hug with and a handshake on Saturday night in Bedminster, New Jersey. You know how close me and Trump are. You know it, Randy. But I need Trump to come out and stop the nonsense with, he's a nice guy, he's a handsome guy, he's not a bad guy. He's got to stop. We need President Trump, Rubio, whoever, not just Randy Bynum and Sid Rosenberg. We need the most powerful man in the world to stop the nonsense, because Randy, you know Trump as well as anybody. He likes you too. You know in his heart of hearts, there's no way he likes this guy. It's not possible.
No, and look, what I think needs to happen is I think the folks who manage immigration need to open a file. It is clear that he lied about his relationships with communists and Muslim terror when he filled out his naturalization forms a decade ago. This is not someone who was born in the United States. He is a recent arrival. You have to answer those questions honestly to become citizen. He did not, and if you lie, it can be taken away. That is what needs to happen, and he needs to be investigated, his citizenship revoked, and he needs to be deported back to Uganda, or maybe they'll be more comfortable with this insanity. He is not an American, and he should be deported.
Well, tell me, I've got Holman coming up at 8:35. I'm not sure he's the guy you're talking about. Who would that person be?
I think it's the Department of Justice that needs to look into it. But you can ask. I mean, the fact of the matter is he lied. And by the way, the bigger problem is we're going to find thousands and thousands and millions of these people have lied. That's the problem. See, citizenship was supposed to be for people who love America, share American values, and want to add value to America. Why would you move to a country that you hate, that you think its culture is wrong, that you think is evil, that you think is a problem, and say, hey, I want to be a citizen and I want to be elected? It's because you want to destroy it. The barbarians are no longer outside the gates. They're inside the gates, and one of them sits as the mayor of New York City. We have to deal with this problem, or we're going to lose our country.
Great Congressman out of Florida, Randy Bynum. You mentioned the DOJ, so I had a phone call conversation, Randy, with a lady. She's a friend of yours, too, Harmeet Dillon, and she runs the civil side of the DOJ. Obviously, Todd Blanche is about to be confirmed, I would hope, shortly, and he'll replace Pam Bondi on a long-term basis. I would love to see, between you and I want to get this to President Trump, I would love to see Harmeet Dillon become Todd Blanche's number 2, the Deputy Attorney General. I think she deserves it. I know that the Vice President has a candidate. I know Boris Epstein has a candidate. I'd love to see Harmeet Dillon do that. And she is out there, I think you know this, Randy, every day knocking down Mamdani on Twitter, opening investigations. So I know they are trying at a certain level of the DOJ.
Yeah, no, I know they are. But there's more that we can do in Congress. I think we need to take a very hard look at stopping funding cities and states that agree with this sort of thing. A meaningful percentage of the city of New York's budget comes from the federal government. I mean, why are we going to fund an entity that is run by a Muslim terrorist? And I think these are difficult decisions that have to be made, but you should not be able to behave this way. You should not be able to defy federal immigration law. You should not be saying that you're going to arrest foreign leaders when they come to your city, and then the federal government still strikes you a check. We need to take these people on hard, and I'm prepared to do that.
Is anybody else in Congress prepared to do that besides you, Randy?
Probably not, and that is a big part of the problem. I mean, Democrats are hell-bent on destroying our nation, and unfortunately, all too many Republicans are content to manage our decline as long as we do it politely.
Yeah.
But I see what's going to happen to this country. I see what's happened to countries like Great Britain, which I now call the United Islamic Kingdom. I mean, I see what is happening out there, and I do not want it to happen here.
And it is happening. Now, you'll get Lawler, you'll get Maliotakis. The New York Congress people are very, obviously, sensitive to this. You'll get them, but you're not going to get the rest of the country, especially people like Thomas Massey And you're right about Europe. But let me talk about the rest of the country, okay? Because we're not that far removed from people like Brad Lander winning a primary, this Valdez, this Chevalier, New Jersey. They had a couple of people win not that long ago. We know about Dearborn, Michigan. We know about Patterson, talking about New Jersey. We know about Minnesota, not just Somalians. So this is becoming an issue, Randy Bine, around the country. And some people want to just poo-poo it. Oh, no, they're a small percentage. Most Democrats are moderate. They get it. Idiots. They don't get it. They're all eventually going to bend their knee to the DSA, communists, and Jew haters. Are they not?
They will. And here's how it's not fringe. 2 points. Number one, last week, a majority of Democrats voted to end America's relationship with Israel. A majority, not 1%, not 2%, not the fringe, a majority led by Nancy Pelosi. And just yesterday, 90% of Democrats voted to allow insider trading by members of Congress to continue. So, I mean, these people do not share our values. They're here to enrich themselves, to rip us off, and to destroy the country and the relationships that we have. And if we do not start to treat them like the enemy that they are, the enemy that they see us as, we will end up defeated and America will be destroyed.
Funny you mentioned Nancy Pelosi when it came to the voting against Israel, but in the meantime, insider trading, she's made a lot of money, Randy. She made a lot of money. I'm not accusing her necessarily. Maybe I am. You know, the Democrats have now taken on this Jew hate thing and made it their big deal. Look, Mamdani did it. I hear time and time again Mamdani won because everything was going to be for free. Yes, that is true. But he also came out, you knew he hated the Jews, and in these blue cities and in these blue states, a lot of people shared that. So when somebody said to me a couple of days ago, I got news for you. Hating on the Jews, not a bad thing for the Democrats. I said, are you nuts? You know the majority of the countries, they still like the Jews. They're not anti-Semites. And this person said, okay, we'll see. You tell me, active member of Congress, does this country like the Jews or not?
I think the majority of the country does, but I think a majority of the people who matter in the Democratic Party do not. I mean, the Democratic Party is now a mainstream Jew-hating party, and any Jew who remains a Democrat has to have a really hard look. Look, I get it. I mean, it's hard that the party of your parents and grandparents is not the party anymore. But I'll also say this, they have no one but themselves to blame. Because there was a time when there were only a few of these people, and Jewish Democrats chose to ignore them and not take them on. The reason I'm so aggressive against the Thomas Masseys of the world is because I don't want that to happen in my party, and I will prevent it in my own party. But Jewish Democrats had the chance to speak up and keep their party safe for Jews, and they chose not to, and now this is where they are.
None of them do. Chuck Schumer, Bernie Sanders, Jamie Raskin, Lander. I mean, Dan Goldman became a hero because he ran against Brad Lander, but he was hardly a hero in our fight either. He just was just okay at the very, very best. That's all he was. I mean, these Democrats, they're destroying our country. I mean, you know, what do you, if you're a Republican and you're running for office and you got a big election coming up in November, do you not make the Jewish thing a big thing for you? Or are you worried that even though you think the majority of Americans still like the Jews, that may backfire?
You know, I don't think you have to talk about that because it's the Jew hatred is just the gateway drug. I think you talk about all the other crazy things they want, because you talk about the fact that they want open borders. You talk about the fact that they want no prisons. You talk about the fact that they celebrate Muslim terror, and the rise of mainstream Islam in the United States is one of the most undersold issues that Americans are worried about. They don't want the call to prayer prayed 5 times a day. They don't want their dogs taken away. They don't want people who say that for them to practice their religion, you have to submit to it. We need to be out talking about all of the crazy things that the Democrats want, including insider trading for members of Congress, that
True.
They don't share our values and they think they are better than regular Americans.
Why don't you have these issues down in Florida?
Because we have an overwhelming conservative group and we stamp them out. I mean, we do. Look, I'm sure there's crazy people in Florida, but I'll give you a great example. When the lunatics started blocking the roads in Florida to protest, we passed a bill saying you can run them over. Do you know how many people have been run over blocking roads in Florida? None. Because when they found out they could get run over if they blocked the roads, they stopped doing it. See, in New York, you cater to the crazy people. In Florida, we tell them you act crazy, there will be consequences. That's the difference.
Finally, what are your thoughts on where we are in this Iran disaster and, of course, Lebanon and Israel? I know you heard my interview with Bibi Netanyahu last week, and 10 days old now, still getting praise all around the world. But what are your thoughts on those two conflicts?
Well, look, I think we've got to – the way you deal with evil is you defeat it. You have to have unconditional surrender. We didn't negotiate with the Nazis. We didn't negotiate with Imperial Japan. We defeated them, and then they surrendered, and then we sorted it out. And I think the president is realizing that that's what we have to do. We've got to destroy that evil force.
Okay, so let me stop you right there. So we're talking about the Strait of Hormuz every day, great oil, money, I get all that. We're talking about the dust, but I've been dead set since day one. If you're going to start this, it needs to end with regime change. Well, Americans don't have the appetite for that. We don't want our kids to die, blah, blah, blah. Then don't start it. But if you're going to start it, you need to change the people in power. Yes?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it has to be our soldiers that do it. I suspect if we were to help the Iranians, they would take care of it themselves. I don't care how it ends. We just need it to end with a victory to us, where they don't have a nuclear weapon. They stop blowing up commerce. They stop attacking Americans. I don't care how it happens, but they need to surrender. And I like that the president yesterday said, every time you shoot at a ship in the Strait of Hormuz, we're going to blow up a bridge or a power plant. Frankly, if it were me, I would say every time you shoot at a ship, we're going to blow up 10, so that people understand that the consequences for bad behavior will be horrible. And I think that's what stops bad behavior. In the same way we got people to stop blocking the roads. They knew they'd get run over. If Iran knows we're going to blow them up every time they shoot at a boat, maybe they'll stop doing it.
Maybe. I'm not even sure they will. So to wrap this up in a nice little bow, because you're great, Randy Fine. You really are great. You would like to see Congress, the DOJ, all the powers at hand at the federal level find a way to expose Mamdani as an illegal, because he lied, and get him out of here, yes?
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty straightforward. I think he lied in his naturalization papers. I think you investigate it. I think you show that. You strip his citizenship, and you deport him. I mean, it's not about removing him as mayor of New York. It's about removing him as a citizen of the United States. That is what needs to be done. He never should have been allowed to become a citizen. It should be taken away, and he should be sent home to the crap hole that he came from.
And you are prepared to introduce that to Congress?
It's not up to me. Unfortunately, Congress doesn't revoke citizenship. It's the immigration and naturalization folks who need to investigate him and yank his papers.
Randy, I love you so much. I can't begin to tell you. Great interview as always. Can't wait to see you soon, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thanks, pal. Appreciate it.
You're the best. Come on. Appreciate you. Congressman Randy Fine from the great state of Florida right there. And that is a guy with a set of balls. He's a brilliant guy, too, and a sweet guy, great father. But he's a guy that calls it the way he sees it, and the way he sees it is right. We'll take a break. Tom Homan, Bill O'Reilly, and Bill Sims still to come.
There are rivers running just for you and me. In the darkest hours, choices made to me. I choose to pull my punches. Don't you test my conscience. You'll see. Cut your teeth and make your peace is what you ask for. Cut your teeth and make your peace is what you ask for. Cut your teeth and make your peace is what you ask for. Cut your teeth and make your peace is what you ask for.
You talk, we listen. This is Talk Radio 77 WABC. WABC Traffic and Transit.
Live from the Apple Bank traffic desk. Dare I say it's been a pretty easy commute, though I may have just jinxed it with that. George Washington Bridge, 20 minutes from the upper level, same down below. Same holds true at the Lincoln Tunnel, 15 minutes from the Holland. The Bayonne, Goethals, Outer Bridge crossing, they all look good at this hour. Continue to have the issue with the Dinky in Princeton, which is down all week. Buses replacing trains to Princeton Junction. On the LIRR, it's delays on the Montauk branch. On Metro North, buses replace trains on the new Canaan and Waterbury branches, and there are some delays on the Port Jervis branch. And down below on the subways, stops are being skipped on the 7 line. Traffic sponsored by Apple Bank. With an Apple Bank Pick Your Term CD, you get a guaranteed rate of return that fits your 6 to 12 month timeline. Stop by an Apple Bank branch to open. Member FDIC. $25,000 minimum deposit required to open. New money only. Early withdrawal penalty may apply. That's traffic.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?